Mark was unusual. Right away that first year that all of us were around Mark, the first distributors and myself, we could tell this is an unusual kid. His mother died when he was 19, and he had all kinds of challenges as a young child, and never graduated from high school, and with all these challenges against him. But he was really a believer in health and nutrition, and come up with the idea of herbs. That's where we got the name Herbalife. And he was just extraordinary. Probably more dedicated to other people's success than his own, if you wanted to say something unique about Mark Hughes.
And he said, if you will start that process of change, do something different the next 90 days than you did the last 90 days, like picking up the books to read. Do something different, like the new health disciplines. If you'll start doing different things with the same circumstances, since we cannot change the circumstances, but we can change ourselves. We can change what we do. Now, sometimes it's a little tough to take, blaming yourself instead of the marketplace, taking responsibility instead of putting it off on someone else. Now, let me give you the secret. Show said, here's the secret, Mr. Rohn. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Once I got that, it turned my life around. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. He said, if you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune.
Dr. Alfred Golson, who has since passed, was a very unusual guy. And he told me, he said, Mr. Brown, you have cancer. I said, the biggest challenge that I faced were the things that I've been dealing with in terms of my health. The easiest thing I've done was to get out from under the labels and to live the life that I live. The most difficult thing I've ever done was to believe that I can do it. In my situation, you live in a dominant culture that is designed to destroy your sense of self and your belief in yourself, and you have to learn ways in which you can begin to connect with this power that you have within yourself to handle where you are. The key is to be constantly in a perpetual process of discovering the truth of who you are, fighting constantly to look for ways in which you can escape the inner conversation.
And so what most people do in life, they have the power to change their circumstances. You are made in the likeness and image of God. You've been given authority and dominion over everything on the face of the earth. But most people would rather moan and moan about their situation, show up in their lives as volunteer victims, rather than become actively engaged in doing the work necessary to change their circumstances. It's been said there are two types of people, those who work and those who watch them.
And so there has to be this point in your life where what you want is so much greater than where you are. You're in such discomfort. In other words, the gap between what you're dreaming of, what you're destined to do, what you're capable of, you're aware of it compared to where you are. And I think that just sowed into me insecurity, worry, fret, anxiety as a kid. And so I knew when I got older, I was behind everybody. Other guys were more confident. Other guys seemed to have their act together. Than I was, right? So I sort of sought out help. That's what self-help is, right? I sought out the help and the tools and the strategies to really transform myself. And I've done that. And so really the personal development side was just literally out of bare necessity to function as a human being and to be happy. And so that's where that came from. Let me give you an example of that. If you and I started out right now and we had a 26-mile marathon to run, right? In our minds, it was 26 miles. We were gonna race each other. We would pace ourselves at a certain speed in order to maintain that speed because of the duration of the run. So if it was a marathon, we'd jog, wouldn't we, pretty slowly. You certainly wouldn't sprint 26 miles. And so because the destination, because the finish line is so far away, is that the best people I know have a focus on the future and use their time in the present.